Normatec recovery systems give you a high-tech compression massage for warm-up pre-workout and recovery post-workout.
The technology is very safe and is used by a broad range of athletic types and really any fitness enthusiast looking to get the most out of their workout.
The whole idea is that we're using air compression to help increase circulation in the body. We wanted to mimic physiology, the way the body moves fluids. We went ahead and took a lot of those principles and put it into a system that you can use on your different extremities and your hips as well.
Normatec has been an industry leader in pneumatic compression, providing improved mobility and profound healing for thousands of patients. We continually work with researchers to study and develop the effectiveness of our technology.
It's all about creating that community space where people have a conversation around recovery and start really challenging their beliefs in what is possible and what they've known and maybe what could be.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. A few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.
Well, welcome along. This is Echelon Racing Promotions Community League Series brought to you by ZMS. I've been looking forward to this quite eagerly. This is quite a prestigious little event. Now, we've got loads and loads going on, so stay tuned and make sure you're up with everything. First of all, we've got two races going on, the men's A and men's B. Basically, the distinction there is that I think if you're familiar with the Zwift gradings, the A race here is for A and B in Zwift, and the B race is for C and D category in Zwift, if you can relate to that. And then after that, we've got the women's race and the para hand cycling race at around 5 p.m. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be thrills and spills all the way here with ZMS and Echelon Racing Promotions. So what have we got in store for you in these first races? Well, in fact, the whole thing today, as I understand it, comes from Indianapolis, and I'd love to tell you lots about Indianapolis, but it's somewhere I've not really been actually. So it's a very flat course, this one. It's a sort of figure of 8, although it doesn't cross itself. And as I say, it's an inner city crit. The bends may be the key points here. Remember, this is on RGT, so that the effective braking, you can see the two well, I think there's probably what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's probably 7 bends that are reasonably tight there that may force people into some automatic braking if they're on the inside. That destroys their rhythm. So how people cope with those bends on a crit race may well be critical. I'm just looking at the, I think on the way back where it hits the centre of the figure 8, that probably looks like one of the tightest bends, probably that and the second bend. So let's look out for those. Only 68 kilometres, 68 metres of climbing, which suggests that over 25 laps. It's I'm not sure why it says 25 laps and 15 laps up there, but anyway, I think maybe that's the A race and the B race. The point being that the 68 metres of climbing over 25 laps means there's very little climbing per lap, which tells us really this is a flat course. Usually on the bottom of RGT you can see the profile, and I think I will be right in saying that we can't actually see it on there at the moment. Well, I suppose we're not on the RGT screen, are we? But okay, just had to clarify, thank you. The 15 laps is for the para and the hand racing, so it's 25 laps for all the other races, which is what I had thought. Now look, this is what we've got coming up. This is the Community Series dates. We've got the Indy Crit here today, 27th of November. Now tomorrow we're back at the same time. We're up near Milwaukee this time, and similar sort of lineup, and it's a crit race as far as I can tell. More of that later, but be tuned, same time tomorrow. So that's a weekend of top racing here on ZMS with Echelon Community Series. So there's also the Pro Series, which starts next week. So you might want to look out for those too. They will be broadcast. I won't be with you, but I'm sure that whoever will be fully knowledgeable about the American pro scene and able to give you a top class commentary. So don't miss out on watching that one too. So this is all brought to you from RGT. You can see there the paracycling races being noted. I will say that the avatars for the paracycling aren't quite ready, so they won't be looking like paracyclists today, but it is coming. So during the series, if not next week or the week after or something like that, they will be coming. So look out for that. RGT is going in leaps and bounds, there's no doubt about it. As I say, it might not be up there in the sort of marketplace in the way that Zwift is, but it really is a case of RGT has, I think, attracted the attention of people who like a realistic race, because whilst Zwift excels as a bells and whistles game, RGT is the one to do the realistic stuff. So you can see here, quite a packed start, decent turnout in both of the races, and that's a healthy thing. Now we're going to have 2 screens up at once, I believe, and it makes it sort of slightly harder to read the graphics, I suppose, but we'll do our best. So on the left we have the category A, they're both off. Now you have to pedal quite fast at these offsets, and we see it's Jan Dekker off first in the A category race. It is indeed the man from Belgium. He's just been overtaken by Mike Rowbottom, T. Wilkinson. Some of these riders, Mike Swart in there I see from Canada, I believe, or was he in the USA? Some of these guys I know and some of them I don't, so if I don't know a first name, please. Delighted to see Ned Bowen in there. This is quite local for Ned. He's from Chicago, so Indianapolis today and Milwaukee tomorrow. You have to stop over at his own house. So over to the B race. Tawny from the USA, and we have Slovenian Brusik and Levens. It's all fluctuating a little bit. They're still in peloton mode here. We've got 54 riders in the race, and I would imagine that they're fairly bunched together. So if you look at the bottom, you can see that profile I was mentioning. Now, there have been some riders left behind out of this. Now, the big blob at the bottom in the centre of your screen, that is the rider we're following. So we have Botticelli, yeah, here we are. Phil Botticelli. No, sorry, I missed the pronunciation. So that's the big blob, and you see all the little white dots below are people who've been dropped out of the peloton already. Now this is a crit, so we will start overtaking some of those at some point, is my guess. And the profile you've got at the bottom is for 1 lap, so as the big blob gets to the end of the profile, it'll come up on the next, on the other side on the left. Now they're less spread out in the A race, which you'd probably expect. Now this can be a product really of just not getting a good start and struggling hard to get on a peloton, because the draft effect on RGT does mean the peloton is quite strong. Now you can see here that the big blob is now at the beginning of the lap, and it's probably not more than, well, a little bit more than half a lap behind the last rider who's got dropped off, and you can see the little splintered groups. And if you look there carefully, you can see somebody's just got dropped off the bunch there, and this is beginning to sort itself out. Now my guess is that we're going to see a whittling down in this, because I think it'd just be attritional. There's no real obvious attacking point. Maybe this one just coming up, you can see in the profile, it's a little green apart from this little brown bump as Charlie Revel takes the lead for the moment. My expectation here is that they're pushing out over 400 watts, which is quite strong, but it's a sort of level you might expect at this level of racing. Now, as I say, they're Justin Rice there, 330, getting the benefit of the pack. I mean, Justin Rice back there in 13-14, right now 250, and the red indicating that he's actually over pedalling, because the draft is actually allowing him to do less if he wanted. So, as I say, if you look in the top left-hand corner, you can see on the Cat A race, somebody just went into the red there. If it goes red at the top, you can see on the top left-hand corner, 530 watts. This is Hardin pushing out 500 watts on the front, breaking out a little bit, and he's got Wilkinson with him, and that they've caused a split. I think that is going to be very, very hard to maintain. But then again, there's two riders just behind them. Now, if they get a group of four, there is a chance if four can do it. But I think the peloton is closing it down. It's certainly closed down the chasers, and I think this is all going to come together again. So great attempt, but I think that's not going to work, and that'll probably be the story of the day. But look how much it's stretched out that peloton in the A race as we go over to the B race. We see a couple of riders going off the front here. Fletch for the USA is pushing out at 3.6 watts per kilogram, which is, I think, for somebody on the front in a decent race like this, is probably about right. You can see how spread that field is, and they are not probably too far away from, maybe on this lap, but probably on the next, they are going to lap the last rider. Now, this is always interesting because I know when I've been in a crit race, if you do get lapped, you quite often try to just latch onto the peloton and get a little bit of draft as long as you can. Which I think annoys some of the peloton people, because they think you shouldn't be really in their peloton, but there we are. Samuel Hogman is bravely going off the front at 350, and he's just lapped somebody as well, I think, looking at that. And so that was, it definitely was on this lap. So 400 watts, he's got a gap of 30 odd metres there from Charlie Revel and Rob Miller just behind him. So, can he hold this out? I mean, it's quite early in the race. We're 4 kilometres into a 33-kilometre race. My view is you can't do this on your own. So unless a couple of people join him, he's not going to get away. But don't underestimate the benefit of this, because what it does is it stretches the peloton, and you lose riders out of the peloton. And what you do is you get this whittling down. It looks strange that people would go for this. If you watch professional bike racing, if somebody goes solo, the whole point is not always to knock people off the back. I mean, teams do that, domestics do that for pro teams, but in individual races you don't. But it can actually be quite a good tactic individually, because it just weakens quite a few of your opponents. As I say, once you drop off one of these pelotons, it's very hard to get on them. So 4.5 kilometres into the category A race, a little bit behind in the B race as you'd expect, but holding together nicely in both races, and got two decent sized pelotons, albeit that Hogman looks like he might be about to be caught here, but we'll see. Eric Hill there just catching up with Hogman, and I think that's the peloton with him, so that's that done and dusted. Whether or not that did a bit of damage at the back of the peloton, It does. I mean, it looks thinner. It's certainly strung out, and if you get strung out and you're the guy on the back and you just lose 10, 20 meters, it can be hellish getting back. So over to the B race. Eric Kirkby is pushing out here for the USA. Nice to see so many USA riders here. A couple of Slovenians in this race I see there, and yeah, it's quite well represented globally, and the old Belgian flag in there. So Eric's pushing out 300 watts, and we're what, 5 kilometers into a 37 kilometer race, 32 to go. Peloton, I think this is just going to carry on like this. So as I say, I think you'll get the odd attacks, and you can see somebody just behind. This is the B race, so see somebody just behind who's got left off. They've got no chance of getting back. If you drop one of those every lap, you can get the final sprint down to a minimum amount of people. The hope is that it's actually one of the decent sprinters that gets behind. Mike Swart, an RGT man through and through, is giving it a go off the front on the A race now. Well done, Mike. I don't know why I thought you were from Canada, but you're clearly from the USA, it says there. And that's not because I can't read flags, it's just that I have encountered Mike before. And although not in racing, Mark Rowbottom in there is another one that I know. Mike Lister in there from Devon, and a few familiar names. And as I say, I think Ned Bowen's in this category A race. Now Ned is sitting there lurking around an 8th, and if you don't know Ned, let me explain. He is a master sprinter, and as we've got the Zoom room here now, these are riders who are racing at the moment in the Zoom room. I'm not sure of names to go with the faces, unfortunately, but they can all comment, and you can see what it looks like. Now, I am absolutely amazed because I do not look anything like that cool. When I'm doing one of these races, there's usually a tongue hanging out of my mouth, scraping the top of the crossbars, and sweat just sort of flying off me, rather like a sprinkler. But there we are. These are proper riders, aren't they? Mike Lister being followed here, 300 watts. Mike from Devon in the UK, and he's, as I say, he's doing quite nicely in there. He's wearing the blue kit. I'm not sure if these are teamed up or not, but there seems to be a lot of riders wearing those particular colours. I think they're probably allocated by Echelon. They seem to have Echelon's logo on the side. And yeah, Toffoli, there's another, the Guillaume Toffoli, the French rider I see in there. Jan Decker from Belgium. Nick Green. Did I see Nick Green in there? I have to say I know Nick quite well. So if I do, if he is in there, if there's any bias in the commentary towards Nick, if he was in there, I apologise unreservedly. So again, we've got double screens here, and again, you can see that you know, the thing is fairly well bunched. There's nobody way off the front. Even in the B race, you can see a couple of riders off the front. Eric Kirby, and then Daniel's out the front. Daniel's Mark Hillis. He's got the Brazilian flag. He actually lives in Portugal. Great to see you, Daniel, and good luck. So he runs a rent a bike. I think it's in Porto, in Portugal. So if you are in Porto and you want to rent a bike, go and see Daniel Margulies, and he'll sort you out. He's a top bloke, I can tell you. Actually, I've never met him personally, but I've had plenty of communication on social media with him, and he seems to me to be a top guy. So good luck, Daniel. Apologies that the names are the other way around, but that's I know him as Daniel. So I'm sure he'll send me a text correcting me at some point if I've got that wrong. Eric Kirby. Now, Eric's been putting quite a shift in at the front here, hasn't he? I mean, this is very impressive, and I think if you're going to have the most aggressive Rider of the Race award, he's probably well in line for it. You can see Eric's actually about to come up and start lapping some more back markers as the peloton just swallowed him up a little bit. What's that, a peloton? The peloton's a bit strong there, isn't it? That maybe half a dozen. I still think it's early in the race for even with half a dozen. I mean, I think you do, if you're going to do a breakaway, you need a group. But I think this is too early. It's too early because it's still 28 kilometres to go. I think sort of later in the race you might get away with a small group of 6 or 7 to do that, but we shall see. So back to the Category A race. As I say, that's quite strong in the peloton. If you look at the, you can see it visually, but if you look at the profile down the bottom, it's quite strung out as they start another lap. 9 kilometres into the race, 28 to go as they pass the latest back marker. Just look how quickly they went past that back marker. I think one of the things, so following Ned Bowen, I say local man, I mean, I don't know whether or not anybody riding this race would consider Chicago to be local to Indianapolis. In relative terms, my perception of what is local and what is not is very different to the average Americans. I can certainly remember somebody saying to me once when I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that we were just going to drive into town and do some shopping, and it was a 2.5 hour ride to Philadelphia, and that was considered a local shopping trip, whereas my idea of a local shopping trip is probably, you know, maybe 20 minutes transport at the most. So it's a rather perceptual thing. But I say Ned's from Chicago, and I say this weekend's races, one in Indianapolis and one in Milwaukee. So Chicago, not quite slap bang in the middle, but certainly if you were going from one to the other, I'm sure you'd pass through Chicago. So it's certainly in relative terms, his neck of the woods. I don't think it is an advantage. I wonder if anybody in these races actually is from Indianapolis. Kevin Bouchardal, I'm assuming. So that's 500 watts. I mean, that's pushing out a lot. And the thing is, we've actually got a gap here. I think this is too early to do this, but you know, we've got a 60. I think the 3 need to get together, and that's for sure. There's 3 of them off the front, but I think these 2 here, I think Yenko and Horner need to. I think it's Zach Horner. I might be wrong. You see a few people stuck there at the start. Sometimes people don't get off the start for mechanicals, you know, they get dropouts and things like that. I don't know if those are dropouts or people who've actually just had to give up for other reasons and maybe stop near the start line, but you will see a couple of people get that. That gap at the front, I mean, if those 3, I think they are getting together on that Category A thing. That'll be interesting because they pulled out 70 metres. They've got a group of 3. They need to work together, and equally the peloton need to do something about it. This is Category A race. Let's turn our attention to Category B, people, because you're just as important. And we can see here, this is still pretty much bunched, isn't it? And you can see the peloton. And behind the peloton, you can see not quite all groups, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. You could argue 4 groups in the B race, and certainly the 4th group back, or 5th group back, I suppose, if you include the first one, looks quite a nice little race within a race. And this is the nice thing about these sort of races is don't worry if you're not in the front bunch, because what you'll do is you'll find that there's natural selection. You'll find yourself in a nice little bunch of people like you, and you can have your own little private race away from the glaring lights of people like me. But I've had plenty of those myself. Never, I think I've only ever won a sprint once. But and when I say won a sprint, it was probably for 50th place or something. But no, it's great, and it's great if these little other groups can actually merge, because the effect of the draft is so phenomenal in RGT. As you see, Brian Keane is off the front here, another American rider, 400 watts on the front. But if the other group's behind, and certainly if I ever get dropped off of the peloton, I sort of sit up, don't put a lot of effort in, and then just try to. This is the bit where we where the figure of 8 matches, we saw riders going the other way. So I'll sit off the back and sit up a little bit and wait for the next group to catch me, because it's better to be in a group than not, which I think you'll all know as cyclists. I'm not exactly breaking any devastating scientific news, but if you do get those little groups formed, not only does it make it easier for you to race, you do get a better a better little sprint at the end to compete to. Now this is against all my expectations what's happening in the A race. I did not see this. I did not anticipate this. The front three have got a massive gap on fourth place, 185 metres, with only 12 kilometres gone in the race. I think that is phenomenal. I mean, I certainly would say they need to work together, and I don't think it's that coherent. But that is phenomenal. It's over 200 metres. The first three have got away. Zach Harner, Yenko, and Kevin Bouchardal. Amazing. They've got an interloper there, the 38th position, Milhorn. Can't blame him. That's exactly what I would do. And to be honest, if he can stay in the group a little bit, it'll help them. But you see, this is where I say I don't think they're totally working together. As we go over to the Zoom room, I'm not sure what names who's in the Zoom room, because I don't know the faces, but it's still amazing to me just how calm and collective they all look. I would be looking in a much worse state. So, what do I know about this bike racing as these three go zooming off the front? I say they're not working together. I mean, there's two schools of thought here, isn't there? That they're not working together because certainly Zach Harmer seems to be sort of fighting to stay on all the time as he goes into the front, just to undermine anything I was saying. But on the other hand, if you don't keep pushing and you sort of slow down to the slowest, then the chances are the peloton will catch you. So what do? Now in the B race, something similar might just be happening here, and we've got a gap of 30 metres with these two off the front. That has really strung out the peloton as well. Look at that, and they are flying past back markers. And this is so there's a group of, I don't know, I think this maybe is not going to quite happen in B group. I mean, I'm just looking at the gaps. It's not going to happen. You've got a group of 5 there, and you know, you're looking back, 12th is 40 metres behind. The peloton's strung out. I mean, if you break the collective effect of the peloton, maybe, but I've just got a feeling this is not going to work. Certainly, or if it does, well, there is something emerging here around 10th place, because I think you're starting to get a gap between 10th and 11th place, and I think that might be where the split can occur, because if these guys, so this is Borders, Bottiglero, and who else have we got in that one? Mayer, no, not Mayer, Beach. If those can get onto the front group of 10, which it looks like they sort of almost are, the group of 10 could start splitting things up. Eric Kirby up there again, and deservedly so, because he's put a lot into this race, as Eric. He's certainly lit it up and given himself a bit of a starring role, but that gap's not eking out. It's still, there is that little bit of a gap, but it's not massive. Fletch going off on the front on his own, but I don't think that's unless somebody follows you and you can sort of split. Well, people are following him, so that's well, maybe it's going to happen again. My view is that if you can get a group of 10 here and split it off, then you've got something to work with, but you need to work together. Remember, of course, the difference, you know, one of the main differences between this and pro racing is that you've got teams in pro races. You know, they've got a team leader, they're riding for one person. Here everybody's riding for themselves, so yes, you do need to ride with the other riders when you find yourself in a group, but anyway, back to the A race, and it seems that we're down to 2. Zach Harner managed to stay on, so that was great. It looks like Hogman and Harding are now 160. We've lost somebody off the front 3 in the A race, haven't we? So that's a bit unfortunate. So we're down to 2 at the front. I don't know whether that's sustainable at 21 kilometres to go out of 16. They're certainly going to have to work together, that's for sure. But I don't think there's any way that they can do that on their own. But yeah, so down to 2. I think I had a better chance with 3. Matt Looker from the UK, another name I recognise. He's with the, I think 3R is his team, if I remember rightly. And certainly a few names I do recognise in there, none of them at the front. So the bias I was going to give Nick Greenhalgh in the commentary, as he lives locally to me. I know the guy. He's not materialising, and I'm sure all the moderators will be delighted to hear. Nick is currently in 19th. Remember, this is a series and you get points for this, so it might not be all over for you yet. This is only the first race. And remember as well, points are given on position, so you know, the fact is somebody can finish a lap ahead of you, but they might only get 1 more point or 5 more points than you, and next week you could beat them by a wheel length and, you know, reverse that situation. So all to play for. This goes on over the winter, the Echelon Community Series. Remember, there's a Pro Series too. And we're coming up at 5 o'clock-ish. Don't forget, we've got the women's race and paracycles. I mean, what more could you want? This is absolute delight of top cycle racing here with the Echelon Racing Promotions and ZMS production. So looking at the B race, since we've been away, I say we've been away, you may or may not be focusing more on one screen than me, but we seem to have a breakaway of 4 in the B race, which I think at 40 metres could just about stick. Thomas Pontiveschi chasing in there. Daniel Margelis, but I think they're going to have to work hard to pull this one back. What do we got? I think they are closing it a bit actually, so it's another brave one. It's interesting there, if you look at 21st position, the peloton is down to 21 riders, so there's only 21 riders in with a shout on this B race now, and this is what I said about the traditional nature of these races. And just look at the bottom. You know, we've got that big light bulb shaped blob, which is the rider we're following, which is currently Eric Kirby, who's in the leading pack. So there's 21 people in that pack, and look at the rest of them spread across the field. And we've got 50 riders online, so you know, there's 29 other riders spread across the track. They'll all score points and they will finish as much as they can, apart from mechanicals and things like that. Eric Kirby putting in yet another shift at the front. He's the man, isn't he? Well done, Eric. Absolutely marvellous. Very impressed, and thanks for lighting up the race and making it entertaining. Simons is not having any of that. He said, what about us Belgians? And the US take their little share. We've got a Polish Orest coming up. I think I should know your first name, but I don't. As I say, I don't know everybody's first names. Some of you I do and some of you I don't. So apologies if it sounds a little bit discriminatory, but it's just a case of the ones I've come across before and the ones I haven't. Because there's no, I think with most of these RGT races, you don't know who's going to enter till you turn up for the commentary. And certainly, if you look at a professional sports competition, everybody knows who the entrants are for weeks before the event. As we finish another lap in the category B race, and we're 17.9. So we're nearly going to meet the halfway stage of this. I'm not 100% sure whether or not you will get a yellow banner to say it's halfway through. I've got a feeling you won't, because I don't think it really works in crit races. Put it this way, I've seen them in crit races and I've not seen them in crit races, if that makes sense. I've got a feeling this one won't have one because I haven't seen one on any of the laps. So we shall see. So over to the A race now. That gap, those two on the front have pulled out an immense gap in the A race. Look at that, 300. Now, I would not, in a race preview, if you'd have asked me whether this happened, certainly at 20k into the race, I think I would have said no, it's unlikely and it's too early. And even now, my instinct is that this is too early. But could I be wrong? I mean, the gap is getting bigger. So just maybe, David Blodgett there in 5th place, pushing out 300. But these deceptive. Remember that if you're in 5th place in the group, you're you're not pushing out the high watts. It's the guy on the front or a couple of guys on the front that are pushing out higher watts. So 17k to go. Can this gap be sustained? That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one, because William Toffoli, the Frenchman, sitting in nicely, 25th or 20th now, and we're in the A race here. So that's 400 meters that gap now. Zach Harmer and Kevin Bochard-Howe. That is phenomenal. So you see Zach Harmer rides for 3 hours. Well, that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not sure which is putting in the most work. It's certainly Kevin Bochard-Howe at the moment, isn't it? Here we are in the Zoom room, looking at what it really feels like. This is really blood, sweat and gears in its truest sense. None of the shiny razzmatazz of the Tour de France, mate. This is garage walls, toolkits, kitchens, washing machines and things like that. It's where the true grit of cycling is in the 21st century. Anyway, let's have a look. Am I correct in saying that lead in the A race might have slipped a couple of metres here? Yeah, down to 384. So just maybe, the peloton are doing something about this, because it went over 400. Let's see if that still keeps coming down. My instinct, it's gone over 400 now. They obviously heard me, took the warning and put it on the press. Liam Bard now, if we see in 4th place, pushing off the front with Hogman, Sylvain. I should know Sylvain's first name as well, but I don't. I'm so sorry about this, but I think the peloton need to work on this, because or maybe they don't care. Bill Bonner, down 3R racer. You can see the 3R racers, they've got these sky blue, white, black and red kits on, so you can pick them out interspersed in there. I'm guessing people are choosing their own jerseys in the normal way on RGT. I see certain jerseys that I recognise that are not team, they're standard jerseys on RGT. Others have got team jerseys. So I think you have to be an established team to get a jersey on RGT. They're not just given out to everybody willy-nilly. You have to put your case forward, as I understand it. So Kevin Bochard-Howe and Zach Harmer now 440, just when I said the gap was closing. I'm sure people are listening to me and are just basically, anything I say, they're going, well, we're not having that. We're not listening to that. We're going to do the opposite of what he's just said. And look at that. They've whacked that out to near, I mean, if this carries on, half a kilometre to go, well, we'll see. I mean, if they've got half a kilometre to go with something like 7 kilometres to go left in the race, then I think they're on for the win. I still think it's a lot though for 2 people to pull this out. Who knows though? Who knows? This is top racing. This is the Echelon Community Series. You're attracting top riders to something like this. You know, the names in the list, I know some of them, I've heard of some of them, and there's a few I don't know, but that doesn't necessarily tell you anything. What I can tell you, out of the ones I recognise and the people I know in this, these are top riders, both in the Category B and the Category A. I mean, don't underestimate how good you need to be in Category B. These are decent riders riding in the B race. Eric Kirby on the front. Actually, I mean, I think I could just have a little button that says Eric Kirby on the front, and rather than actually say it, just press the button and the words come out, because Eric has just been the star of the B race, hasn't he? I hope he gets a decent position after all this, because that's a lot of effort and a lot of work rate if somebody else comes along and nicks that from you at the end. So let's have a look at the B race if we can. Let's interesting to see what we've got here. So it's down to 8 riders in that front group now. Estelle, I find hard. Yeah, okay. So suddenly I getting memories of there was a group called the Dells, which would be his name, Del S, wouldn't it? And I was listening to one of their records this morning. It just suddenly made me think of that. Spencer Dell. Okay, so I don't think Spencer was ever a member of the Dells. Not impossible, I suppose, but I doubt it, particularly looking at his skin colour on the picture there. He's in 5th place, though. He's from the USA, and yeah, I mean this group of 8. I mean, I think, you know, unlike the I haven't got such a big lead as the guys in the A race, but I do think this is workable, because 8 riders working together can hold off the peloton better than 2 people can. That said, that's what I'm saying as your resident expert, but clearly I'm wrong, because the guys at the A race are pulling out a big gap. But is that over 500 now? Oh my god, that is awesome. And Kevin Bouchard-Howell is absolutely powering as he takes over. He overtakes, I think that was Simon Miller, was it? I don't know. Might have been Simon Miller. I think that was a Southborough jersey. Zach Harner put in his shift as well. But I think Kevin Bouchard-Howell has probably been the main instigator of this absolutely soaring attack. 500 metres. I find it very, very impressive that 2 riders can do this. Whereas in the B race, we've got now this is interesting. We've just seen Roland, the Belgian, at 8th position, is now dropping off, and this is splintering a little bit. Eric Kirby maybe putting in a bit too much in that front group. If they lose anybody off this group, maybe not actually. Maybe it's come back. Yeah, Roland has pulled himself back in, so the group of 8 is sticking together, which is I think what they really, really need. I mean, Eric may think differently. He may think that 8's too many and he'd rather not have a sprint against all 8 of them. I don't know what the individual's sprinting abilities are like, and certainly the amount of effort Eric's put in on the front today, he's probably going to burn a lot more calories than the people around him, and may not be in the best condition for a sprint. I mean, he can tell us that. I really don't know. But I again keep going back to 8 at the moment is quite good. Although the gap is extending, it's up to 300 metres. They've still got 13 kilometres to go. So, in essence, I think they probably need to stick together for a little bit longer, and then possibly, I think possibly you can have this sort of thing where you get the little attacks and whittle it down a little bit later. Of course, I can't account for the thoughts of 8 individuals in this race. So there might be people sitting there thinking that I am talking absolute rubbish here, because their view is that, you know, you put some pressure on the front and so you can shed off the group. Certainly if they know each other. I mean, you see this in pro races, don't you, where there's a known sprinter in the group and people just want to shed that sprinter because they don't, you know, they know that if they get to the line, that person's going to beat them. So there might be some inside knowledge of each other's sprinting abilities, which is dictating behaviour on the front, which I'm not taking into account. Who knows? In fact, if we knew all the answers, it wouldn't be entertaining and surprising, would it? So there you are. It's great that we don't know what's going on, and commentators occasionally get it all wrong. So where are we up to with Group 1? What sort of gap? I think we're under 500 now. Does that mean the peloton's clawing something back? It's down at 450. Now that's interesting. Has the peloton decided that it's had enough of Kevin Bouchard-Howell and Zach Harner's foray off the front? Because that has come down considerably and continues to come down. Guillaume Toffoli leading the charge there for France. Yeah, so yeah, Smart Robotham in that group as well, Rob Miller and a few others. Yeah, it's that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Just look how many 3Rs riders there are in that little group. Now, the question is, do they ride as a team or do they ride individually? And certainly, I've certainly seen Ratio Racing ride as a team superbly as Mike Lister overtakes a back marker. It looks like a Southpaw rider. I might be wrong. Got a very similar kit to somebody else, so a couple of Ratio riders there in the orange. That will be Mark Robotham and not sure who the other one else. Sophocles, another Ratio rider. Ratio with the orange helmets and the black with the orange, shaded orange stripe down the side. Next to them there's another orange kit which is not Ratio. In fact, there's more than one orange helmet. So Mike Swart up there, the RGT man, in 4th place for the USA. Now the gap's going out again. It's beginning to hit that 500 metres again. So the two guys at the front have responded. So they pulled back the 50 metres they just lost. I wonder if they sit up for a bit and see what happens. Maybe this is a little bit of, we'll sit up for, a couple of minutes, see what happens, and if they close it down, we'll just go back to where we were. Of course, we're counting down now. We're down to 8.5 kilometres to go in the A race, and versus 10.6 kilometres to go in the B race. And 500 metres, if you start getting down to 6 or 7 kilometres to go, 500 metres is going to begin to look a bit harder to pull back for the peloton, but not impossible. But once that starts evaporating, then I think those guys might just be duking it out for first place in the A race. So over to the B race, where we have this elite bunch of 8 who are still sitting there together, and we've got Roland Tony from the USA, Eric Kirby, Deitch, Fletch, USA, Simons from Belgium, and let's do all the moves. We've got Dell, and I missed somebody, I think. Harris, the Polish rider, of course, making up that group. And I think this is classic racing. I mean, I have to say that if you told me this would happen, I would have believed you. I think what I'm seeing in the A race, I would have found it hard to believe. But this is good, solid racing. They know what they're doing. I think you'll start getting the question maybe in the next couple of kilometres whether somebody starts looking around and thinking, well, somebody on this group isn't doing some work, let's see if we can shed them. But at 9.7, I think I'd probably stick with what I've got at only 200 metres gap. 200 metres can be pulled back reasonably easily with a large peloton. I'm not sure how many are in the peloton from 9th onwards, to be honest. That'll be an interesting thing, because the size of that peloton will dictate how much power they've got to pull back this front 8 in the Category B race. We're riding around the Category B race, it's 37 kph on the flat, which is not, it's gone up to 40 now, and so it's not, it's going to be, it's sped up a little bit. I was going to say at 36-37, that's not the fastest on the B race. I mean, it's still quite fast, but as I say, they've sped up, so that was wrong. So anyway, I'll have to see how this one pans out. So we're 40 minutes into the race with 9 kilometres to go, so that's we'll say a quarter of the race left, so about 10 minutes to go, I reckon. So we should finish before 5 o'clock with a bit of luck, and we'll go over to the women's race and the hand paras. Remember, so there's plenty to come. Eric Kirby on the front, remember that. Shall I try and say it in the same voice every time, so it sounds like I've actually just recorded myself saying it and saved myself the effort by just pressing the little button and repeating? Eric has. You're going to feel for Eric if he comes 8th out of this group, aren't you? It's after all that work. He's been an absolute star in this race. Anyway, all 8 of them have put in that group. This interesting thing, at 9th place, Mayer has only got 180. Mayer must have gone out on his own. Mayer is only 180 metres behind the front 8, but he is he's a couple of 100 metres in front of the. That's interesting. Mayer, he's only got 175 metres to catch up the main group, and he's got a massive gap on the others. So this group could become 9, although it's going to be one Herculean effort, I think, for Mayer to get up into that front 8. But if he does, I mean, fair play. Probably get up there and sit on the back for a few laps, because that's exactly what I would do. So the B race is proving quite exciting, isn't it? I think the 9th position could be an interesting one at the moment. Look, he's got it down 150 metres. Whoa! So, we'll have to say the B race is turning out to be exciting. Let's have a look at the A race anyway. What is the gap? How much have we got in the A race at the moment? Now that has closed immensely, which does, to an extent, endorse what I was saying earlier, that I thought this was a long way to hold that sort of distance. There's less than 5 kilometres left, but 350 metres with only 2 of you is probably quite assailable, is my guess. If you lost 150 metres very quickly, like you just had or you've just seen, then my instinct, I think these two could get caught. So they've got 4.5 kilometres to go. And Kevin Bouchard-Howell puts in a little bit of a spurt there. Zach Harmer just holding on, just staying on his wheel. I mean, maybe they're putting a bit of extra effort in. They're going 50 kph. Can they pull out some more gap? So my instinct is that they are going to be hard pressed to hold that, especially as the peloton gear up for a bunch sprint. But we shall see. Somebody's got to work the peloton to make this happen. So maybe just the well, it's nip and tuck. What about the B race then? Because how's Mayer getting on then? Let's see what we've got over on the B race. Down 135 metres, but look at that. The gap between Mayer and Borders is phenomenal. I mean, that's 350 metres. So I think, and let's face it, as much as I think Eric Kirby might have been the star of this race, I think he might have a rival here with Mayer, because to do what Mayer's doing solo, out of a group, consistently, and now this is a fight to catch up with. I mean, he's pulling away from the people behind him, but whether or not he can make it up to the front 8 solo is a big ask. So I think the B race has produced probably the 2 big stars of the day. I think Mayer is losing a bit of ground. Maybe that effort is just beginning to tell now, and I think that might be done, because he's gone out to 160 now. So maybe that phenomenal effort has just caught up with poor old Mayer. But that was one hell of an attack. 5.6 kilometres to go. I think he could probably hold that off the peloton behind. But it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. We shall see. So how we get on in the A race is the next question, because that gap was coming down, and that's oh my goodness, it's down to 280. Suddenly this is looking very, very tight, but it's only 2.7 kilometres to go. So more or less, if the peloton can ride 10% faster than the front 2, they will catch the front 2. So that's what we're looking at, aren't we? Now, if you look at the effort of Zach Harmer, 5.4 kilowatts on the front. He's Kevin Bouchard traveling at 40 kph, and don't know how much. I wonder how what sort of speed the peloton are doing. In fact, that's gone up to 50. The gap's up to 240. Like I say, the peloton have now got to be 10% faster than the front two. So we're looking at Hill here, 44. It's not. It's probably not enough, and the gap's gone out to 260. I think the front two are responding. This is going to be exciting. 1.9 kilometres to go. Don't know which one of these two is the better sprinter. I get the impression that Kevin Bouchard-Howell is the slightly stronger rider here, because Zach Harmer's been doing a lot of catching up. He has done his turns on the front, but it may just be that all the extra work from Kevin Bouchard-Howell has not left him a lot for the sprint. We should have to see. I think we might just miss the finish here, so I don't know how we're going to do this, but I'm getting messages that we've only got 1.5 kilometres to go in the A finish, but I'm not sure quite what happens next. I know some of the other races are due to commence. I think there are contractual obligations to show other things, so I don't know if we can have a split screen, or we can't actually. Have to find out. 1.2 to go. I think we can safely predict that the first and second positions are going to be Zach Harmer and Kevin Bouchard-Howell, and the question of which one is going to win. Quick look at the B race before we go, if we can. Not sure that we can. This is category B. So we've got Mayer's out to 233. I think he's going to hold on to that. 3.5 kilometres to go. I think we've got an 8-man sprint heading up there. Mayer's probably going to hold on to 200 metres, I would guess. Well, sorry, it's 400 metres. He's got 400 metres over 3. So that means a peloton would have to ride much more than 10% faster than him to catch him. So we know that that's going to be an 8-man sprint. Quick look at category A, if we can. They must be getting towards the finish. So it looks like we can't go to the category A finish, I'm afraid. And here we are with category B. 2.8 kilometres to go. Let's say this is the Mayer's not going to catch now. This is broken up a little bit, and I think people are pushing to see whether they can just break this up now. This is not entirely unpredicted in the scheme of things. When you see when you see a group this big, there's going to be somebody in there who sort of says, well, look, I'm not the fastest sprinter. Just see if we can shed a few of these riders and I'll get a better position. I think I'm not sure if that's someone's fallen off the back or that's the back marker being lapped. But certainly, no, I think it's back marker lap, because if you look at the time, if you look at the distance gaps on the left hand side, you can see that the 8's pretty much holding together despite all the digs at the front. 2 kilometres to go. Apologies that we can't go to the finish of the A category race. As I say, I think there's some technical issues there, from what I can understand. The messages I'm getting. Do apologise. I think we know who the first two were. We just don't know the order. The little battle behind it will be quite interesting. So, Category B race. 1.6 to go, and we've got an 8. So this will be a fascinating sprint finish. And the Category A results are in. Fantastic. We've got the results. So, and it was Bouchard Howell. So despite all that effort, he was a stronger rider still. Igor Korps coming in third after Zach Harner, of course, and Chris Smart, David Blodgett, Eric Hill, Ned Bowen from Chicago 7th, Matt Looker from the UK in 8th, Alex Plazier, the Belgian from, German, sorry, the German from Ratia Racing in 9th, Will Harding, Get Swifty, Marco Pavlich, Mark Swatton, Nick Greenhouch, local to me, somebody I know, 14th, well done Nick. Charlie Revel, 15th, well done Mike Lister, somebody else I know. 16th, Mike Swall, who I have spoken to, but I've certainly emailed a few times. William Tuffley, who I sort of know, and Jan Decker, who I communicate with as well. So a few people I know well, and Josh Gray making up the 20. Fantastic results for all of you, whether I know you or not. So, Category B race, down to the last 600 metres, and it looks like Roland is going to take this one quite clearly. 68 metres off the front of the pack, and I think we can safely say that I think Tournai is going to take second position. Looking at those gaps there, it's fragmented. It's probably from third onwards is still up for grabs. Roland now within sight of the finishing line, I should imagine, just around this bend. Let's have a look. Can we see the finishing line yet? 100 metres to go. It must be round this bend. Yeah, we are. There's the finishing line. Actually, you get a very late sight of it, don't you? So if it was a bunch sprint, you might get your timing right. So Roland gets first. Dell in third. Simon and Kirby all coming in order, as we can see there. And Paris from Poland making up the 8th position. So the 8 in the end didn't quite have a bunch sprint. It was settled a little bit earlier on. Maya, who alongside Eric Kirby has probably been the star of the race, coming in for a very impressive 9th, given that most of that was done solo on his own. What an amazing effort. Well done. Well done, Maya. A few more to come in before we got up to 20 results. Is this going to be a little bit of a bunch sprint of these guys? And you can see them all putting a bit of effort in. And this is what I like. You know, you can have these little bunch sprints further back in the pack, you know, which are just as entertaining. And look at these three go. Will anybody actually nudge it? No, not quite. Oh, yeah, that was whoever that was in third. I think it was Key. Was it Key? I'd say third. In third in that group, it might be Key. Certainly went for it and didn't quite make it, I think. So here we go. A few more coming in, and this could be another little bit of a bunch sprint, couldn't it? There's a little group here. It's what makes this so much fun, doesn't it? It's all these little races within races that we all have on RGT. So this is the first one of the Community League Series for the 2021 winter season of Mechelon Racing. It's been an absolute cracker. I have to say that the racing off the front was superb in the Category A race, and the Category B race, it's slightly different because it was a group of 8. Joe Mayer in that epic solo ride. So both races have been absolutely cracking. And I'm sure everybody taking part in them has had a whale of a time just being in the race and racing with their counterparts even though further back. So let's just have a quick look at the final rankings. Spencer Dell was third after Mark Tolly and Dieter Roedland, and Lorenzo Simons, Eric Kirby, Zach Deesh, Ian Fletch, Terence Harris, Joe Mayer, 9th person out there on his own. Let's look at the time gap there. It was the first 8, there was a time gap of 22 seconds. So Dieter Roland has pulled out 22 seconds from the 8th place out of that group. There's still another 18 back to Joe Mayer, who was, you know, what are we talking about now? So 40 seconds, 30 seconds ahead of 10th place. So that's probably about it. We've got a couple more to come in, and then we'll take a very, very quick break before we move over to the women's race and the para. Just reading through the people after Joe Mayer. Jaden Lai, Rich Heath, Brian Keane, all on 1.12. You've got Brad Borders, 1.13. So you can see it starts getting very close there, doesn't it? And those little tussles. Thomas Poniatowski, Daniel Magalhães from Portugal, even though he runs under the Brazilian flag. Rune Lidiens, Israel Arroyo, Michael Van Tichelen, Bojan Podjasic, and Phil Bottigliero. Beg your pardon for the pronunciation, Phil. I think I got it wrong earlier on in the race as well. Well, that's that. Stay tuned, and we'll be back in a minute for the women's race and the hand cycles paras. Welcome back. ZMS presents, alongside Echelon Racing Promotions, something I've been really looking forward to. The women's race in the Echelon Racing Promotions Community Series League, alongside the hand cycles. Now, one small apology, that we haven't got hand cycle avatars at the moment, but we are working on them. So keep watching the series. It goes on throughout the winter, so there's a few months of these to go. You can have a look on the Echelon Racing League website for the calendar. We might even show you that in a minute. There's plenty of races coming. They're not necessarily every weekend at the same time, but there's another pair tomorrow. Today we're racing. Oh, here we are. So we've got the Indy Crit today. So we're in Indianapolis today, in Indiana, home of the Indy 500. We're not doing 500 today, I can assure you. So we're, in fact, I'm not even sure that anybody actually is cycling in this race in Indianapolis, but it is a virtual road set up on the RGT platform. That's where we're racing. It's an inner city crit. We've just done the men's category A and category B races. We've got a ladies open race, we've got the hand cycling, and we've got the paracycling. So the hand cycling, as I say, we haven't got the avatars yet, but that will be corrected. Now the calendar is such that we've got another set tomorrow. We've got the we're going up to Milwaukee tomorrow, another city crit. So look out for that. It's at the same time, so everything you sort of seen today in the last hour will be repeated in Milwaukee tomorrow. I don't think we'll have the hand cycles ready for the avatars tomorrow, but at some point in the series they will come along. That's something to look forward to, and that's a bit of a first, isn't it? I mean, I think it's fantastic. Now we've just had two great races in the men's category A and category B, and this is the same course, I believe. I might be wrong, it looks the same to me. So you can see it's dead flat there, and it's the same course, isn't it? So this is figure of 8 course. It's got some tight bends. Remember, of course, in RGT, as I said earlier, the other races, that the braking on the corners does actually sort of automatically kick in on RGT, so it slows you down. So if you get caught too much on the inside, you might slow down too much and have to power harder out the bend than somebody on the outside. So now we've got 25 laps for the women, just the same as we had before. The para cycling and the hand cycling are 15 laps. So the way we see this happening is that you will have 3 races, and we'll be flipping from one to the other. And the last one to finish will probably be the women's one, because they're doing 10 extra laps. We look forward to that. Coming up soon. So we have a look at how far they've got. This is the. Oh, look at this. This is quite interesting, because we've got. This is. So this is a Zoom room. This is where cyclists can actually get into the Zoom room, and they can. I mean, presumably they can talk. I'm not sure they do. We've got somebody in a recumbent, who I'm assuming is probably a paracyclist. We've got somebody hand cycling, who definitely is in the hand cycling race. And we've got a lady in the bottom right hand corner, and somebody fixing their bike in the top left hand corner. It's a little bit dark on the right hand side at the top, so I'm not sure who that is. We haven't got names on them anyway, so I can't. So looking at this, we've got where are we at? We've got the ladies race here. So where are we at? We've got 18 riders on the course, and we've got quite an international lineup here, and nobody from the USA, interestingly, in that top 10. Let's see, maybe further back in that. It's quite clearly a breakaway in the first 3 are now already 300 meters ahead of the others. We have the Spanish Zarilla and Ronkanen from Finland and Diron from France. That's not very European. A couple of Brit riders, Tool, so Anna Ronkanen is the Finnish rider of the 3 that have broken away. They're 11 kilometres into the race with 25 to go. They've got a gap of 300 metres. I mean, that's quite phenomenal. Instinctively, I think I would normally say that's probably hard to hold. I think, though, that in this race, and especially having seen what I saw in the last men's category A race, that this might be holdable for them. To get that so early probably suggests that they have something special and can hold on to it. Eva Dora, a German, in 7th, putting out 167 watts in this nice little group. This group will probably work together, and I'm guessing, because that's all you can do from where I'm sitting, I'm guessing that the psychology is in this group that they're all going to sit together and just kind of use the group. I'm not getting the impression that anybody in that group is, you know, charging off the front in the sense that they need to close down the riders in front of them. I mean, that gap's holding quite nicely. I just don't get the impression. I mean, if you look at that echelon, there aren't, you know, I don't get the impression that somebody is sort of surging forward trying to sort of push the group. There's a lot of people sitting in. It's the impression I get. Could be wrong. I can't be inside the head of every rider. I can only guess what they think. And of course, the big problem is I'm guessing what they think. If we look at Gabriela Schumann, another German, and pushing out 200 watts. Yeah, so it's probably sort of, you know, 70 to 100 watts less than the men, but it's still good. I mean, that is still decent. They just lap a rider there, you can see. I think that was somebody looked like an OTR kit, but you can see this sort of second group lapping people. So the gaps are quite big, and you can see actually from 13th to 14th, or 12th to 13th, sorry, there's a gap of 500 metres. And then 1.6 back to 14th. So it's going to be quite strung out. And if you do look at the profile at the bottom of the women's race, then it's going to be quite spread out. Let's have a look at the paracycling here. The USA well represented here. The 3 riders. Number 4, the ZMS, is actually a camera, just so that you are aware, and the camera will, I'm sure, finish 4th. That's my prediction anyway. If there's any bookmakers or gambling houses out there that would like to take a bet on ZMS2 finishing 4th, my money's ready for you. So we've got this. As I say, this is the paracycling, well represented from the USA. We have Brooks, Parangel, and Kilgore as the 3 riders. We've got quite big gaps, and I think I'm not very experienced in paracycling myself, but I have in real life run a paracycling race, and I did in the race that I actually organised. This is what actually happened: that you got quite big gaps. The guys all knew each other. They went around the circuit, and they kind of knew what the pecking order was. And the gaps emerged, and they went around and thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and why shouldn't they? I think it's absolutely fantastic. The only way you're going to get this going is to sort of have people turn up and do these races, and ensure that, you know, they happen. I mean, if people turn up and support them, they will happen, and eventually there'll be more riders, and they will get closer, more competitive, and you'll get the benefit of the draft and things like that. So yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing. And well done for Echelon for putting this on, because I think it needs to be done. As I say, I run one myself, and similarly, I mean, I didn't get a massive turnout for the one I ran. It's a real life one. I didn't get a massive turnout, and it is what it is. But it's fantastic, and well done Echelon for putting it on. I would also like to think, right, that given one of the things that some of the feedback I got from the paracycling race I ran was that some of the guys were saying that basically, because there aren't many around, and this is in the UK, they have to travel quite a lot. Well, isn't this, via RGT, a fantastic way of actually making races where you can have a lot more competitors because they don't have to travel anywhere? So we're looking at that hand cycling. Sorry, it was hand cycling I ran, not I did beg your pardon. It's hand cycling rather than paracycling I ran. But I think the same applies anyway. That you do need lots of these races, and I think doing them online, as Echelon have done with the hand cycling and paracycling. I think the idea is that if you have lots of these races and people know they're there and the word goes out, you get more, they'll get better, and it's the way it's going to happen. So again, if there's any more casinos out there that want to take any bets, I'm putting my money on Jackie Jones for the hand cycling, as 5.5. In second place is of course the camera, and Jackie's just overtaken the camera. So and that must be Jackie in the Zoom room, mustn't it? There's only one hand cycling entrant. That must be Jackie. So well done, Jackie. Absolutely brilliant. Top man. Well done. Thank you, Jackie, for turning up. A big thumbs up. It's, so that's absolutely fantastic. Well done, Jackie. So that's the hand cycling, and so I'll put my money on the winners of the two races, the paracycling and the hand cycling. Support these races. Tell everybody else about them. If you know anybody that does hand cycling or paracyclists, let them know about these sorts of things, because it's not going to happen unless people support them. And I think we all have to tip our hats and give a roaring chapeau to Echelon Racing Promotions for putting these races on. Well done, Echelon. Good on you. So going back to the ladies' race, and let's see how our front three maidens are faring in the women's race. Remember, they've got 25 laps and they have 20 odd kilometres to go, and it looks as though the French rider Durand has pulled away from the other two. Indeed, the other two look neck and neck, so Ronkainen and Zarilla neck and neck, but Durand has pulled away. So quite impressively, 300 metres, it's got to be said, riding a canyon there with an RGT kit. So France leading the way in the ladies. Okay, it's according to RGTDB, it's Nicolas Durand. So well done, Nicolas. So Zarillo, and there's quite a gap now. Zarillo and Räikkönen now, well, they're riding together still. They've got the best part of 500 to 600 metres on the next group. The next group is this cosy little bunch that are all working together and racing as a peloton, which is nice. I'd like to see that. Interesting there, isn't it, that if you look at Räikkönen and Zarilla, they've just overtaken the person in 13th, Portuguese there, and they are nearly halfway through the race. The gap is that big that 13th is already lapped by the leaders. So there's a bit of disparity. Remember, this is an open race, of course. In the men's, we had category A and category B. And so what you're actually seeing is natural selection. Instead of having two races, you've only got one, but the A riders are forming the top three, if you like, and the B riders are forming fourth onwards. And that's the way it is. If we'd had two races, that's what it would have looked like. So there's nothing wrong with these gaps. And I go back to what I was saying about the paracycling and to a lesser extent the hand cycling, is that you do, these guys, they know where they are and all the rest of it, and they end up racing with people they know they're competitive with. And lots of us who enter RGT races know that we're not going to win, but we like to end up in that little battle for 49th place or whatever it is. And we know that we're battling quite often against the same guys. We have our own little rivalries and friendships form. So this is what it's all about. So we can see there that there's a big gap back from 13th to 14th. Portuguese there at sorry, I beg your pardon, I'm misreading that one. The big gap is 13th to 14th. But there's still nearly a kilometre between 12th and 13th. As I say, Vaz, the Portuguese, that was just lapped there. So up to 13th has already been lapped. And but as I say, I think, you know, if you think about this, the race is forming its natural categories, so it's absolutely healthy, it's absolutely fantastic. And just like with the hand cycling and the para cycling, as far as I'm concerned, Echelon have got to be commended for putting this on. So Raikkonen and Zarilla, are they going to chase Nicolas Durand down? I'm not sure. We shall see. We shall see. It's nice to see that everybody, I mean, say for example, Jackie in the hand cycling. As I say, we will get hand cycling avatars later in the series. But despite being the only entrant, sits there and does the race. And why not? Because you get the points. When other people find out that this is going on, they will join in. And if you don't do this, it doesn't grow. And it's going to grow, because I'm sure Echelon will stick by it and make it happen. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that these events are on. And again, I mean, it's nice to see the old recumbent in there. It's amazing. I'm not sure of the rider's name in the recumbent actually, but it's quite interesting to see how much movement there is actually. I've never really noticed that. The only ride I did with somebody on a recumbent that was really, really long was actually, we had to ride through the night, and as it happened, they crashed in the dark. So I never really sort of kind of got to have a good look at how they rode, but they never finished the event. But it was quite energetic. You know, it might be a laid-back, lying-down position, but it certainly looks every bit the effort that people on an upright bike are putting in, doesn't it? So Jackie beavering away. We're just what we've got 9 kilometres to go in that race, 6 to go in the paracycling race. Let's have a look at the paracycling race if we can, see what the gaps are looking like at the moment. So Mike Brooks, is that Mike Brooks? I don't know. It could be. If that is Mike Brooks, sorry if it isn't. He's pulling away quite nicely. The second position there is just behind him, and it is Michael Brooks, yes. Of course, the next question is it the same Mike Brooks that I think it is? But anyway, if you look, Paran Geo is just behind, but is of course a whole lap behind as we go around this bend here. Nice to see all the advertising, you know, making it look like a kind of proper race, doesn't it? I think the scenery is quite good. I know, you know, you might have your sort of reservations about. It's Dennis Parankea. Well done, Dennis. But Dennis is a good lap behind Mike Brooks, and we've got. Go on, Dennis. Get on his wheel. Get a tow, mate. Go for it. We've got Kilgore another 400 metres behind. Actually, despite the fact that Mike Brooks is lapped them, look, he's getting on his wheel as well, isn't he? So well done. He's obviously listening to what I'm saying, I think. So Kilgore with 500 metres back there. This is an all US lineup. Paul Kilgore, go on, Paul. It'd be great to see all three of you together, but I think that's probably a bit of an ask, isn't it? To be fair. So I love all this RGT scenery, and of course the thing is, we can on RGT we can have races anywhere we like as we make them up through Magic Roads, and all right, we get stock scenery. But for all the bells and whistles you might get on other platforms, when I'm racing, I'm not really that bothered about the views off the bike, other than what's in front of me in terms of cyclists. So it's quite interesting that, let's say, unless you're doing a leisurely garage spin just for the sake of it, if you're actually going to race, RGT is the place to be, because you can vary where you race, and as I say, the scenery doesn't particularly matter, but it's quite reasonable, isn't it? It's you know, would you need any buildings by the side of this? So Nicolas Durand is just completing another lap there in the women's race. Comfortably ahead now. So I think the women's race is going to be, the next bit is going to be Rio and Räikkönen battling it out for that position, second position. They're clearly not quite playing cat and mouse. There's 15 kilometres to go, so there's a long way to go yet, but I don't think either of them is going to go for a solo break at the moment. It's probably a good thing just to sit there, and I mean, certainly they may or may not know each other, and they may not have raced against each other before. If they have, then they might have their own feelings about whether or not they can beat each other. You know, who is the best sprinter might be something that one of them feels they are or they aren't, and they will be building up their tactics accordingly. So get back to fourth place. Kay Parrish, a British rider, just going on the front for a little bit out of the peloton. There, a couple of Germans in. In fact, no, we've got what? 3 Germans in that group, a couple of Brits, Slovenia in. Slovenia really is coming on as a nation, isn't it? I mean, it's I can actually say I've been to Slovenia. I think, is it Kunis? The town next to Trieste. This is the thing. I've been to Slovenia only over the Italian border. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a shame because I met some friends there, and they'd come through the country, and they were telling me how spectacular it was. And of course, they do have mountains, and the fact they're producing so many cyclists is fantastic. But of course, this has the effect of enthusing lots of other people, and the amount of Slovenian. And look, there's 2 Slovenian flags in there. Isn't that amazing? That's brilliant. For a small country to produce so many good cyclists. Well done, ladies. Long may Slovenia flourish as a cycling nation. Good on you. We've got Dee Baker, Canadian, in there, in relative geographical terms, closer to home here in Indianapolis than most of us, but she may not think that. I think you're just going off the front there, and that is O'Toole, another British rider, a bit with an Irish name. So I don't know if that O'Toole. I want to say Emily, but I bet it isn't. Damon might put her name up in a minute and put me to shame. So, well, Nicolas Durand is now over a lap ahead of the next 2 riders, and we are looking at the second 2 in the ladies' race still sticking together. So I think if there is going to be a sprint finish, then it's the group from 4th onwards that is going to be the exciting bit in the ladies' race. 14.5 kilometres to go. There's a long way yet. Remember, this is dead flats. There's no real obvious places to attack. A couple of Brit riders on the front there. Not for long though. As Dora, the German. There's got to be a joke about Dora the Explorer, isn't there? Emma O'Toole. Right. What did I say? Emily. I don't know if that counts as sort of like half a point for nearly getting her name right. Emma O'Toole then, representing the British, along with Kay Parrish there. So, where are we at now then? It's nice to see Jackie's still pumping away in the hand cycling, and only 2.7 kilometres to go in the paracycling. So, let's see. I think the paracycling is probably fairly predictable finishing positions, but let's just see how they're turn out. Are you all US line up in this? So the gaps. Oh, so Ranguno and Kilgore are together again, which is good. And So there actually might be a bit of a race for second place in this one. We're with Mike Brooks at the moment, Michael Brooks. He's powered away to a 2.38 kilometre lead. I can honestly say that with 2.2 kilometres to go, there is no way that the other two are going to catch him. So well done, Michael. That's a phenomenal performance. Salute you, we do. But we're very intrigued to have a look at the sprint finish between Parangao and Kilgore. So that's going to be something to look forward to in the paracycling. So even with 3 races, we can still have a thrilling race. We have an exemplary performance from Michael Brooks, powering away solo. And remember, this is RGT. Soloing is not easy on RGT. You get, the full wind effect. So well done to Michael Brooks. And we look forward to the battle for second in the paracycling. Now, there's going to be no such tussles in the hand cycling, but we are still going to absolutely commend Jackie for phenomenally, heroically, all the rest of it, just going around solo on his own. And we say Jackie Jones there pushing around. Phenomenal job. Well done, Jackie. 5 kilometres to go. Bet your arms are aching. I've no idea what that feels like, actually. But yeah, I think that's phenomenal. Well done for turning up and doing it. Tell your friends, because you'll be loads of points ahead of them already by now in the series. You can afford to tell a few other people and then just beat them all in the series. So put the word out. And even if you're one of the upright cyclists, if you do know any hand cyclists, can you let them know about this? Because I think this is the way to get hand cycling off the ground, isn't it? I mean, as I say, when I ran a hand cycling race, part of the feedback I got was that the riders had a long way to travel to events. This actually cures all that, doesn't it? You can get some top quality hand cycling events going with this. I'm not quite sure how you power them up on things like your Wahoo Kicker or your Tax Neo, but clearly somebody's worked it out, Jackie Jones, and so yeah, well done. So how far we've got to go in the women's race? 12 kilometres. Last 900 metres in the paracycling though, so don't forget the paracycling though, the last 900 metres is the leading rider. Still 2.73 kilometres for the other two, where the sprint finish is going to happen. But Michael Brooks now out the saddle, pushing hard, thinking of glory. He knows he's won, but I don't know about any of you watching, but certainly when I get to this stage, I think, well, that's it, I'm nearly there. And the last few hundred metres just seem to go on forever when I'm really, really tired. Particularly if you're tired and you're not racing anybody, so you don't need to go that fast. So you're not pushing yourself off the edge, but you're just sort of like, oh, come on. So down to 500 metres now, so it's not far, Michael. Well done, phenomenal ride. You've absolutely smashed it, and at the same time, you've left us with an intriguing battle for second further back. Who would have known? Absolutely phenomenal. A bit of lightning in the screen there. That's the fireworks going off for your win, Michael. That's what that is. See all those little flashes on the screen? Fireworks. It's a display. I say that, it's probably my computer messing up and nobody else has got them or something. And if you did get those flashes, we'll all say that it's the RGT firework display to celebrate Michael's phenomenal win. So, sorry, excuse me. Michael brings it home. Sorry, that should have been a more emphatic and phenomenal explosive commentary than that. I just got caught out with a little bit of a cough at the wrong moment. But absolutely phenomenal, Michael. There'll be some more fireworks later, I'm sure. Now, we'll go back to the paracycling as they get a bit closer, under a kilometre. Let's see how the ladies are getting on. So, we're looking at a little clutch here. So 1.5 between Nicola Duran we just there's a question about the avatar that has been raised. So I'm not sure that Nicolas Durand is using female avatar, but you know, that will no doubt be checked. But assuming everything is above board, then Nicolas Durand is the runaway winner of this, even with 7.5 kilometers to go. Nicolas Durand, not, as I say, that might or might not be something that's looked into, but okay, so I've just been told that Nicolas Durand is going to be checked. This is basically not on the bike reg register yet, so it will need an investigation. The fact that it's not a female avatar is not conclusive proof in itself, of course, but it does actually, with that prospect, suddenly Zaria and Anna Rukkanen have something to fight for, and Zaria has gone for it and has now distanced Rankkonen by 65 metres. And that's quite a lot, with 8 to go. He's obviously going for the solo win, probably feels that Anna's probably not able to sort of really contribute to the group, and if you sense a weakness and you pull away, then you might just leave that person there. I think Anna's quite safe in the fact that 1 kilometre ahead of Emma O'Toole is probably enough with 8 kilometres to go if she's still got the legs. Not guaranteed. I mean, don't forget that Emma O'Toole's in a bigger group. You know, here we are. Is it Parrish, the number 4, another British rider, Kate Parrish, and we've got Lee Baker, Canadian, 3 Germans, a New Zealander, McGregor, clutch of Germans, Dora Schumann and Haag, sorry. All the icons keep moving. It's a couple of Slovenians, remember. So this is quite a good international group, and so how many have we got in this group? Is it 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 riders in this little group here, including let's say 3 Germans and so I think this group here is going to be quite an exciting finish, and I still think, I mean, we need to keep an eye on what's happening up front between. Well, I think Zaria is probably now punishing. Yes, I think going to punish Anna Rankkonen, and yeah, the gap is now 100 metres. Anna's not going to contest that. The only thing is, Zario might have actually done that, but now has to ride solo. And it can be the case that with something like 7 kilometres to go, you know, the legs sort of fade at some point, and a bit like the hare and tortoise story, and I might just claw some of that back. Let's have a look at the paracycling, because we're into the last 500 metres, and this is the big showdown, isn't it? This is the one. Kilgore or Parangao. So who's going to win this one? Look, it's all cat and mouse here, isn't it? Both in the RGT kits. Dennis Parangao. Hey, sitting there playing very, very clever, sitting on Kilgore's wheel. It's yeah, does it feel, you know, it's Paul Kilgore, isn't it? So see, so Parangao's now now had to go on the front, 200 metres to go. This is cat and mouse. And looking at the Zoom room, can we go back to the last 200 metres? I've got to see this. 100 metres to go. So which one's it going to be? This is all cat and mouse. Oh, look at it. It's going to be Parangao. Yes. Just knows how to do that surge. It's so important. What you do, you need to get, in that last sort of 20-30 meters, if you can just be on the person's wheel and then go for it. Given it, there's a slight time delay when you start pedaling, but once you get it right, you'll go sailing past because you've got the momentum. We see Ned Bowen do that so often in races on RGT. So well done, Mr. Parangao is the second finisher. Hand cycling, Jackie Jones, the hero of the day, finishing off the last 700 metres. Well done. Remember, 15 laps in these races, so finishing well before the ladies. Then we go over for the excitement of the ladies' finish next. So Jackie Jones, as I say, if you know any hand cycling people, get them involved in this, because I think this is how it, this is where this can really grow, because hand cycling competitors don't need to travel a long way to get involved in this, and it means you can get bigger fields, and I think it could be something that has legs and could be quite successful. But it all starts here, and I think there's a collective responsibility on us all to make people aware of this, and a big thank you to Echelon for facilitating it all. So well done, Jackie. Just 300 metres to go, or just over that. Great performance, and we're in decathlon. Is that a decathlon? Yeah, decathlon. I can remember discovering decathlon, I think first in France many years ago, and wondering why decathlon wasn't in any other countries. Now we see it everywhere, don't we? And I even got one near my house now. So I remember, decades ago thinking, what a wonderful store. So the last 75 metres as you go around this bend, you see this, it'd be interesting if we did have any close sprints, how many riders didn't, if we'd had a big bunch sprint, how many riders would not have seen that coming, with the way that was, the finishing line was just hidden around the bend, Because if you don't watch how many metres there are to go, and you're just watching the other riders and things like that, it can be very easy to miss that. I've seen it happen in races. So Nicola Duran, now 2 kilometres in front of Zaria, and Anna Rakainen is now a couple of 100 metres away from Zaria. As I say, just need to check here, because Nicola Duran doesn't seem to have the female avatar, and he's not on bike reg, so it is a result that will be checked. So now we can confirm that Michael, Dennis and Paul, and so that's the final lineup for the paracycling, and Dennis Parangao with that phenomenal timing of his sprint right at the end, just nicking that by fractions of a second from Paul Giggle. Well done, and well done to all three of you for what I think was quite an entertaining race, and I hope we get more of these, because as I say, I think this is the way to promote these, isn't it? So Nicolas Durand is streets ahead, as we know, and what we had hoped for in terms of a battle at the end between Zaria and Anna Raikkonen is not going to happen. I think with 3.9 to go, even though I think Anna's closing that gap a little bit, I think that's probably a big ask to close a whole 200 metres here. But this is where the race is going to be interesting. This little group here, we see Kate Parrish on the front there, the Germans, Harl, Dora, and we've got Emma O'Toole in there, and so it's we've got the New Zealander McGregor, Baker from Canada, and Karen from Slovenia. 4.5 kilometres to go. This is cat and mouse. I wonder if any of the riders would just put a little bit of a spurt on the front of that group to see if they can whittle it down. So I think there's probably about 8 riders in that group, maybe 9. But it might be worth a little go as Nicola comes into the finish. I think this is a foregone conclusion. The hand cycling results, Jackie Jones the clear winner. Don't think we can say much more about that, can we? Well done, Jackie. Pleasure to have you along. I say, Nicola, just finishing off the women's race. Not sure. That result will be on hold, and we'll see Tony Younglet there hand cycling. Wonder if he's just warming down. Anyway, so Zaria and Rakanian. As I say, I don't think the I think the order for the first three is pretty much set in stone now. As we see Nicola come in, as I say, that result is provisional at the moment because there will be a check on Nicola's status. Nicola just overtaking a couple of back markers on the way to victory, and Kay Furlan there, another Slovenian rider, actually just pipping Nicola to the line, but there we are. So there is the provisional winner, subject to some checks, as I say, because status on bike reg is going to be monitored, and Zaria and Ronkanen are going to finish second and third respectively, from what I can tell, and we are now all on to who finishes after that. There's, as I say, another 8 riders in this group here. Might be 9 actually. Or is it 8? Yeah, it's 9, isn't it? Yes, there's 9 riders in this group, and this is going to be quite an exciting little tussle. I think it's they overtake another back marker in an OTR kit. So we've got Dora and Haag from Germany, Kate Parrish, McGregor from New Zealand, Eva Dora, the German. So Eva Dora putting on a bit of spurt off the front just to entertain us all. Obviously knows she's on television and wants a bit of a starring role looking on the front. So take your screenshots now. So it's Kate Parrish then doing a little bit of a turn on the front. Here's one we haven't mentioned too much. Lads from Portugal. I see, no, Lads from Portugal isn't actually in the group. Gabriela Schumann is another one of the Germans in there. Is that Gabriella? We ask ourselves. I don't know. And she looks quite focused, doesn't she? So Emma O'Toole, and Emma O'Toole, is she giving it a dig, or is she just doing a little bit of a stint on the front? I think the gap between Zaria and Anna Rankinen is it's expanding a little bit, isn't it? I think we can safely say that Zaria's not going to be contested with 700 metres to go. A fantastic ride in the RGT black kit there. Well done. Let's face it, all these results are provisional, so you may even be the winner yet, we don't know. It's nevertheless a great ride for the Spaniard, and we salute you. Well done. And just behind 200 metres, no chance for a sprint finish here, as I say, but we're going to have a potential cracker coming up with the next 9 riders after that, so don't go anywhere because this is going to be absolutely thrilling. Slovenians, Canadians, Brits, Germans, New Zealanders, they're all in there. This is going to be an absolute cracker. Looking forward to this one. But let's not take anything away from Zaria. Just put a bit of spurt in there just to make it all a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit of a better time. The excitement of crossing the finishing line, which is just hidden around that bend, but you can see the people there, or the advertising boardings, just signifying where it is. And well done indeed, Zaria. And a nice little wave. Thank you. Well done, fantastic. So I'm just told that it's Gabriela Schumann that is on the Zoom room. as Anna Rankinen comes home in third position as predicted. And I say Gabriella Schumann is that's Gabriella there, and she's in the little bunch here, and will be she's looking very focused, and I think she's quite right to be focused, because I think she's got some decent riders around her. Is there a little bit of a gap? Is there a little bit of a gap? Everybody's actually pushing now. 600 metres to go. There is an effort on the front, and a couple of riders have been dropped. This is going to be good. There is a clear gap now. We're down to 6 riders tussling it out with 500 metres to go. This is definitely split. This is definitely split. And who have we got in there? We've got Eva Dora, Gabrielle Schumann, and we've got Haag from Germany as well, Baker, the Canadian, Kate Parrish in the UK, down to 6, and we're down to 200, 300 metres to go. There's another push off the front here. It's Kate Parrish this time, but nobody's letting her go. And look at the back there. Look at this surge coming through here. Oh, maybe not. Yes, there we go. Baker, the Canadian, is absolutely tearing away as we come to the finish line. Oh, what a superbly timed sprint. And I think that was quite interesting just behind, because I think Dora just pipped Emma O'Toole with superb timing. Something similar to what we saw in the race earlier. So that was absolutely 2 stunning finishes. So Baker, the Canadian, stormed away in phenomenal form. Then we saw Eva Dora just pull out one of those perfectly timed little nudges on the line to deny Emma O'Toole. That was an absolutely fantastic sprint. Well done, ladies. I'm going to nominate that for the best sprint we've seen out of all the races today. Absolutely cracking stuff. And it also underlines that you don't need to be watching everything at the front, and even if you're a rider, you don't need to be on the front of the race to get, you know, exciting racing. It happens further back in little clutches all the way through these RGT races. So participate in RGT, and remember that the best sprint we've had today was for 4th place in the ladies race. And you know, I think, you know, big TV companies in big international events, they focus on who won the race. Quite honestly, I think things like this can be more exciting. And we look at the pain on Gabriella's face. Yeah, I've been there. I know what that feels like. How did Gabriella do? She got 8th out of that bunch, just beating Kate Parrish from Britain. Elisa Haag, the German, Emma O'Toole in 6th, just picked by the German Eva Dora, and Dylan Baker, sorry I didn't know your name, from Canada, just phenomenally taking that sprint. Absolutely amazing. That was a cracking finish, wasn't it? That was the best of the day, without a doubt. And I have to say, if all the ladies' races are going to be as exciting as that, don't switch off after the men's races tomorrow, because we'll be back at the same time tomorrow, so around 4 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, British time. Work out where you are from that. So about 4 o'clock British Greenwich Mean Time tomorrow for the men's A and B races, and about 5 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time for the ladies race and the paras and the hand. Now this is a series and it goes on through the winter, so you can you know, follow it all winter. It's not on every single weekend, but you know, you can look out for the dates. We saw the calendar a little bit earlier, and you can go on the website of Echelon Racing. I have to say, well done Echelon Racing for putting this on. Well done everybody who's been part of this, and a shout out to everybody who I knew or already knew who's taken part. If I've met you, albeit online for the first time today, hello. You're now part of the RGT community. We look forward to bumping into each other virtually over the winter. So I both commentate on this. I run some races as well, and I might even get on my bike and do some soon. I think I don't know whether we're going to just see the top 20 finish in the ladies' race or not. I mean, I think that would be quite good fun, and I am one of these people who likes to see everybody in the race get a little bit of credit. So as you see, 12th place, another Slovenian rider, Furlan, coming in. So It's going to ride solo by the looking at that. There's 1.2 back. No, it gets a bit confusing because I think the number of riders online here is slightly confusing. So you look in front and you see Evadora and Dylan Baker, who haven't switched off from, they're still sitting on the app, albeit that they're not racing at the end. So you can see what's happening if you look on the left hand side. The distance there ahead is coming down all the time. That's because they're sitting still on the finishing line while Furlan comes in. 13th place is a camera, of course, so I'm guessing that we are just waiting for Katja Furlan. I don't know if my pronunciation is right. Katja. No, I'm going to go for Katja. Katja, that's it. Katja is Katja, isn't it? Anyway, I'm probably going to get in trouble if I keep on trying to pronounce in a language that I'm not familiar with. Anyway, whether it's Katja or not, absolutely well done. And don't forget, you still get points for finishing, so don't ever give up in these things, because over the course of the series you can get quite a good position, because there will be people who miss races and things like that, so you're never out of it until you quit. Is it quitter never wins? Oh, that's a fairly common American cliche, isn't it? So just under 400 meters to go for Katja Furlan from Slovenia, a country that is punching very, very highly in the cycling world in the modern age, and proudly so. And it's just fantastic to see so many Slovenians coming into these sort of races. I mean, it's all very well looking at the pros going, oh, they've got a couple of good ones, haven't they? But let's be honest, you've seen a phenomenal uptake in the amount of Slovenians in these RGT races. Absolutely cracking stuff. So just the last few meters to go for Katja, and I think we're home and dry, and we can have one last look at the results, and then we can all go off and have a beer or whatever we need after one of those races. So there we are. No, we haven't quite got the last couple in the race. Nicola Durand, well off the front there. These are provisional because we are going to have the statuses checked out. Alvaro Zorrilla, I didn't know your name, Alvaro. Zorrilla from Spain, Anna Ronkainen from Finland, Dylan Baker from Canada. Evadora, the German, just superbly timing her surge to steal 5th place away from Emma O'Toole. Alicia Hagener, the German, Gabriella, who thank you, Gabriella, for being on the Zoom. You were fantastic. I know you probably don't interact too much, and I'm not sure whether my English is that clear if you're huffing and puffing away out there in Germany, but thanks very much for taking part in that. Kate Parrish, the Brit, 9th out of that first group. Fernando Vaz, Urska Corrent, and then Katja Furlan making up the finishing classification in the ladies race. Now this is only the first, as I say. Make sure you watch all winter long. We're back tomorrow. There's plenty more of this, and if it's going to be this good, you need to be marking it in your diary now. So about 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time tomorrow for the men's races, category A, category B, and make sure you don't miss the hand cycles, paras and ladies, because I've absolutely loved it. And ladies, that was the best race out of the lot today. Well done to all of you. Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Normatec recovery systems give you a high-tech compression massage for warm-up pre-workout and recovery post-workout.
The technology is very safe and is used by a broad range of athletic types and really any fitness enthusiast looking to get the most out of their workout.
The whole idea is that we're using air compression to help increase circulation in the body. We wanted to mimic physiology, the way the body moves fluids. We went ahead and took a lot of those principles and put it into a system that you can use on your different extremities and your hips as well.
Normatec has been an industry leader in pneumatic compression, providing improved mobility and profound healing for thousands of patients. We continually work with researchers to study and develop the effectiveness of our technology.
It's all about creating that community space where people have a conversation around recovery and start really challenging their beliefs in what is possible and what they've known and maybe what could be.
Come on, move. Of course, there aren't any spots. A few minutes won't hurt anybody. Thanks, Grandma.
Paralyzed Veterans of America works tirelessly every day to create a more accessible America. Let's leave the accessible spaces to the people who actually need them. Whatever the reason, excuses don't excuse. Join PVA and be part of the solution. Honor the spot.